many people signed up for the webinar, and that we're actually having a lot of people also from Spain, Dubai, and from all over the world actually. So thank you for the sign up, and I hope you're going to enjoy the webinar. I'm really looking forward to this because it's one of the topics which I have been working on quite long with several clients. So I hope you enjoy the webinar and and the output. I'm also happy to hear your feedback afterwards, and I of course will share the screen recording. So, I'm Fabian. Most of you guys have not met me yet. I'm living in Berlin. I studied business psychology a couple of years ago, actually quite a long time ago. And after that, while I was studying business psychology, I was a brand strategy consultant. I was working for several brands, also in Dubai, for instance, for several brands, working on the internationalization for these kind of brands. And then after a while, I came back to Germany and I humbled into the CRO. Now I have already 7 years of experience in CRO, and with my new company or with my agency, I'm trying to combine conversion rate optimization and brand strategy consulting, because during my career I have heard I have seen a lot of struggles with those. Companies have struggles with those, and now I'm happy to share my experience with this. So this is basically the problem, that brand building is a long-term thing. You have to invest into your brand. You have to do several things, and in the end, you have no clear impact. What is actually the outcome on sales, right? Henry Ford once said he doesn't know which part of the advertising is actually the part of the advertising he created the return on investment with, right? And so brand building is more like a long-term thing. We spend a lot of money into ad campaigns, into TV campaigns. We spend a lot of money into several things just to create brand awareness, and in the end of the day, this brand awareness creates trust to the customer because they have heard of us, they know the brand, they have an image what they associate with the brand, and through that we're actually influencing the customer decision, because through this we are going to be top of mind of the customer when it comes to a certain product. Let's say, for instance, brands for cars or car brands, right? And if I asked you to name 10 brands, you would probably come up with 10 brands, but actually we know overall there are more than 200 brands for cars. So by doing this branding advertising, we want to create the image, and we want to create awareness, and we want to be top of mind. And this takes time. This needs marketing effort. We need to repeat our messages to the customer so they will actually remember us, and they need to remember what we want to tell them, which is more and more difficult during a time when we are overwhelmed or overfloated with a lot of information. So on the other hand side, which is also part of my job, right, is the short-term performance marketing. You monitor every day your numbers, your performance, your KPIs, and you look into the data and you find out potential where can you actually optimize the performance, and you anticipate, you forecast performance, and you know exactly when is the performance going down and when it's going up, and what can you actually do for this performance marketing is to come up with marketing ideas, come up with campaigns, short-term campaigns. You come up with optimization approaches, you adjust your targeting strategies, etc., to increase the performance of your everyday performance, right? A lot of times what has actually happened, what I have seen also, is that short-term performance marketing kind of burns down the brand image we already built, right? What we see, or what I have seen, is that marketers start, hey, our numbers going down for this and this season because we are out of season when people are actually selling our products. actually buying our products. So what they do is they do a marketing campaign, they do a sales campaign and do mid of season sale, etc. And after the sale, they see, okay, might be that the sale did not work as expected. So rethink, come up with a new strategy, come up with a new sale maybe, and through these short-term sales improvements, adjustments on the performance marketing, it actually has impact of the brand. I mean, we're of course in brand performance marketing doing different things as well. But um, let's say for instance you have a sale and you have another sale and you have another sale, that means you always, I literally have seen that you're always in sale. There are verticals where this is actually happening, and as soon the customers experience that there's a sale after sale after sale, that causes that the value of the brand is actually decreasing because we're losing trust, right? And so also a lot of CRO marketing measures or CRO approaches are more like, I would say that if the users understand them, that will cause that they might lose trust into the brand, right? And we want to avoid that with all measures what we're doing. So, what is actually the brand experience and what is conversion rate optimization on the other hand? Conversion rate optimization is part of the performance marketing approach where you actually look into numbers, you do the analysis, and I mean, you also do the analysis on brand experiences, etc. But in optimization, it is more about short-term gains, which, I mean, if you improve the website, the improvements stay forever on the website, hopefully, right? And making more out of the website might mean that the brand or the image of the brand is actually not part of that sometimes, right? For me, I have a lucky situation with my clients. I have seen several clients and I have seen several clients with the same problems, right? Like let's say for instance, the basket. The basket is always a point, an exit point for customers because they're not sure yet. They're using it for a wish list, for etc. They're just trying to compare products there. To make the final decision, there needs something to happen, and we have done or have done several tests in the basket itself. And these tests now I know what is successful, what is not successful. I can use that for other clients as well, adjust it a little bit, etc. But I'm in the lucky situation to actually use several tests which I have done already for other clients as well, which is quite convenient. For instance, right, it's more about the functionality. Here in the basket, there's like a typical cheering. The user gets a positive feedback. They get an upsell recommendation that we actually want to have the user increasing and have a good feeling about the sale itself or what they're buying. So, and on the website, we would say it's more like it's a lot of functionality approaches in there. Like we have the sticky filter, we have the sticky filters, for instance, we have the quick links on top, and we have the wish list, we have the basket. It's all available here. We have some urgency elements, we have some we have the badges to create some nudges, etc., to guide the customer into the decision, which is all like all these things work really well. But I have heard many cases where the customer tells me, hey, what about my brand? Yeah, our brand is so important. Our brand is actually the main driver for the company. Of course, that's true, right? So we don't want to be like on the website too sally, too pushy. We don't want to be, we don't want to take it too far with manipulating the new user or nudging the user into certain decisions or into certain directions. So the brand image won't harm on the other hand side. And also a lot of customers tell me when I'm like, for instance, right now we're working on a relaunch for one of our customers and they're a brand, and they said, hey, we want to create a unique brand experience for our customers, and we believe that the typical marketing or the typical performance marketing approaches, what we know from CRO, we don't want to do that because we are not others. Yeah, we are not Zalando, we are not Amazon. Yes and no. Those things, the optimization frameworks, all those, they work, and you can increase your performance by that. On the other hand side, you're right. We need to understand your customers, we need to understand your brand, and we need to understand your product. And we need to adjust, or we need to test these things on the website. It makes sense to actually split this on the website. I have seen websites where they say clearly, hey, this is brand. Here we want to communicate our brand. We want to create a brand experience, and here we want people to buy. We just want to move them forward into the next step of the customer journey to buy the product in the end. So it's CRO. It's classic, typical CRO. And here, for instance, Hugo Boss does that quite well to separate the parts. You can clearly understand, hey, this is website, this is a brand experience, and on the other hand side, this is shop, and you want to just buy, right? The problem with that is that usually it's kind of hard to find the right balance between brand, content, branded experiences, brand pages, etc., landing pages, and where do you want to send your customer to if they Google for which keyword, right? So you have to consider the brand image as a high priority for the website. But then you also have like the sign up areas, right, where you actually create a real brand experience. It's like here in this case, you get exclusive information, you get presence, exclusive offers, you create an exclusive community. You get advice from a personal stylist, you get a purchase advantage, etc. It's all about exclusivity. Yeah, you go into an area and this area is exclusive for you as a person, right? There's personalization going on, all these kind of things. And this exclusivity is exactly what goes really well with the motive to buy, let's say, for instance, a Hugo Boss a product, right? Because it's really exclusive, it's about the status, and this is what we want to appeal on, or what we apply to, what we want to use to create a good brand experience. It's like, what is the motive behind the product? Yeah, why do people buy this, and what is actually the reason to create, or how can we use this to create a good experience, right? In this case, exclusivity. We can give them exclusive programs. Yeah, but this is just one part. People or companies come to me and ask me, hey, we want to be like Apple. Yeah, we want to be like Apple, and everyone wants to be like Apple. And I'm like, but you're not Apple. You're you, and Apple is Apple. And what makes Apple so sticky for you? Why is Apple? Because many customers to use Apple as the benchmark for user experience and for branded experience. So I had a look into that. I will talk about that later on, why Apple is such a good example, and why I have seen many brands, many companies telling me we want to be like Apple, right? So I had to look into that. Yeah, so this is like CRO on the one hand side, and branding on the other hand side. You have to take the CRO approaches, adjust them to the brand, of course, but also have to be open for CRO for your brand. Because I have seen brands who tell me, no, we cannot do this with our customers. We cannot do certain things with our customers because we believe that we are different than others. But these psychological effects, these psychological heuristics, and in the end of the day, we're still in e-commerce, they still work for certain people, right? I mean, psychological heuristics can be used for different kind of people, and so this is kind of the challenge, to find the balance here, what to use and what not to use, and how to bring this together. So what is brand experience actually? Yeah, in the beginning, it's always about the utility. The utility is the product, the page actually useful for me? Let's say, for instance, an e-commerce shop, yeah, it has to has all the functionalities to actually buy something there, and you have to have all the functionalities to actually judge the product, that you want to buy the product. That has to be given, right? That's kind of the basis where everything builds up on. So if you want to, for instance, buy a suit, or you want to buy a dress, or you want to buy a car, the e-commerce shop has to have the functionality to give you the right, to let you make the right decision and make the product accessible for you, and you can put it in a basket and check it out. Usability is that this whole functionality works in a way that you understand it, that it's easy to use, and it's user friendly, yeah, that you don't need to really think a lot, that is understandable, etc. Right? The next step is really, that's already coming closer to the brand experience, is the look and feel. I think Shopify is a good example. They have certain themes in there, and you can take these themes and just fill them up with your content. And the look and feel actually comes through your content, right? The theme is like the skeleton of the page, and you can use the skeleton and fill it up with different content, and this creates the look and feel. So the look and feel is really about your brand already. It's your CI, it's how you communicate to the customer, the content you're presenting, and how do you want customers to feel about the product. So, but the next thing is really the overall brand experience. That means you can have an e-commerce shop which is user friendly, which has a look and feel in a certain way. But if you take out the content and put in a competitor, it's still the same basically. So what separates the brands from each other in the user experience? This is kind of the questions. And what we want to do, we want to have a user experience which actually gets the users hooked. Now we want to make it unique. We want to have it in a way that this shop doesn't look like, if we take out the content, it is mainly about content in the first place, right? Because the content, the visuals, the wordings, etc., the headlines, the logo, that makes the brand in the theme, in the rust, in the skeleton. But there's more to it. We want to create, like I would say, a momentum and psychological momentum for the customer, so they understand this is actually the brand. This is the brand, and this is unique, and this is not someone else. This is kind of the challenge, what it means to be a brand experience. In general, this term is also used for the overall brand experience. That means the brand experience in general, from unpacking the products, for instance, from the first time when you hear about the product, from the TVC, from the ads, etc. All that is the brand experience, right? But on the website, this is more specific. Yeah, we don't want to have a shop where we just take out the content and we can put in our competitors' content and it still works and it's not, and nothing needs to be changed basically. Yeah, and so the brand experience is really, it's a, I would say it's a hook. It's a momentum on the website that gets us stuck, that wants us use this website again. I will also later on explain why this is important, that we are unique in our brand experience. But for now, just understand that the brand experience is like the brand momentum of the website itself, and this is kind of hard to create, also to measure on the website. But Apple has that, and that's why so many of my customers talk to me and say, hey, not so many, but some of them do, hey, we want to be like Apple. And why is Apple so good? Yeah. Um, are others doing it as well really good, but in their way, right? But Apple sticks out. But this is the point. You want to, with your brand experience, you want to do something which no one else does, so people actually start talking about it and come back to your website because they still remember your website. And the brand experience, yeah, through the brand experience on the website, we can, I would say, draw a conclusion to of the product quality, etc. These kind of things will get stuck to our customers or to our our customers, so they come back to our website and buy the product. So I think an interesting approach to understand why customers are not buying on a website is the gratification theory. The gratification theory says that we're using media. Internet is basically our media nowadays, right? That we're using different media channels to fulfill our needs. Yeah, and we're in conversion rate optimization. We try to break through that. We try to make customers who see our newsletter, who see our ads, who see our advertising, who see our Google snippets. We want them to come on our website. Yeah, but they're looking for something, and if they're on our website, we want to make them buy. We want to improve this conversion rate from seeing the ad to buying. That's what we want to do. So we need to understand why our customers are actually on our website and how they end up on our website to actually understand why we need a unique brand experience. Yeah. Let's look at newsletters, for instance. How, like from a company point of view, I have worked in CRM as well, I have contact with CRM as well. How does that work? We create a newsletter with our offer for our season, for our campaign. This newsletter is going to be sent out to our customers. Then we have, for instance, the opening rate of 30% and a click-through rate of 9%. That means 9% of the customers who clicked and 30% of the customers who have seen our newsletter are actually coming to our website. So this is one of the barriers we want to work with. We want to understand why customers are coming on our website. From the customer point of view, it starts with this. They see an icon and a red dot. And then they have the fear of missing out. Yeah. Hey, I got a notification, I got a message. What is this? What is this message about? They want to see, hey, is this a friend? Is this work? Is this what is this message I just got? So they go into the email account. They see, okay, I got one message from Maria, one message from Eden, one is work related, two is maybe private related, and we have a newsletter in there. So for the work related, they might be in the weekend, they might be not having time for that, or for the private stuff, they might not have time. They end up on the newsletter, and the newsletter has the catchy headline to convince the customer somehow into the product or to click on the ad. And but there's so many other things going on. So the customer might have seen this in the breakfast or on breakfast time while he's eating breakfast. Then clicks on it and then he sees what is actually relevant. In milliseconds, they are filtering what is relevant, what is not relevant. So they click on the ad or they click on the newsletter headline. And if we get lucky, they're also clicking on the CTA and they land on the website. And on the website, they see buy now, buy this product now. So from fear of missing out what is happening in my email, they somehow end up on our website. The point here is that there's quite some distance in between of I'm sitting eating my breakfast, being on my phone on the side and seeing a red bubble to I will buy a new dress, right? Even if the offer is good, there's quite a distance in between the needs. Yeah. And what I'm trying to illustrate here is that customers are actually, while they're using the media, while they're on their phone, they might have totally different needs than for the product. But they want to do research. They want to maybe see some be on Instagram, etc. Same thing with Instagram, right? They see an ad while they're scrolling down Instagram, right? They want to communicate with their friends, or they just want to like not hear anything and release tension and just like basically disappear in consuming media, consuming content and forget about the environment. So from there to need for the product is quite a big step. Now, they're using the media for certain reasons. They're using the phone, they're using all the media where we are advertising for certain reasons, but they might not have thought about the product yet. Now, we are lucky if they Google brands and come regularly to our website because they're already fans, but most of the customers are not that fanatic into a brand. Some are, but most of them are not that fanatic. So this is the challenge which we have to overcome with a brand experience. Now, we want to create a brand experience to get users actually, even when they come to our website or come to our page, by doing something else on the site, will not forget the page. This is kind of the challenge what we're facing here. So they will actually be like hooked to the page and will not forget the brand and the product, which will, in the end of the day, make more out of the media spend, right? So I think the eye opener here is that they're doing something else. They're coming to our website, but in the end of the day, they were just curious, right? They want to see what's behind it, just curiosity, right? And our marketing measures reach the customers at points where they're not having contact with the product itself. So, or where they have not even thought about the product or the brand. And here, this is kind of the theory of the customer journey, right? That first they hear of the product, then they create a need over time, then they start engaging with the content, etc. So we have different stages, right? But This can be long or short, etc. But in the end of the day, we have a lot of media and a lot of content which is reaching out to a customer at a point where they don't need it, yeah? Where they just want to be left alone and just want to be taken care of something else. And this content or this ads, for instance, will but still lead people to our website even if they don't have a need. Yeah? And in conversion rate optimization, it's a challenge to make those people convert. Yeah. So in my opinion, then at that point, you have to really make sure in the first place who wants to convert can convert easily. You also need to motivate some people, but then you always have people who don't convert, no matter what you do, right? And these kind of people that might convert maybe in a year, in a week, in a month. We don't know that yet, right? So here, this is where like different attribution models come in, and but most of the customers might not convert just because they're not there yet, right? So here, a brand experience actually makes sense to have the customers. Maybe it's like um, getting a newsletter from a brand. They will remind you and remind you over and over again. But with this user experience, you can actually convince the customers for the next sell, basically. So, what does it take to create a unique brand experience? Um, I mean, you can in the first place think of your own gratification for your website. There can be other gratification than going to a website and buy. You can, for instance, use gamification to give the customers an environment where they actually can engage with your brands, where they can win something, which triggers the reward system in our brains. Um, that's something you can do, definitely. You can take the gratifications why customers are actually using media and think about how can I deliver something for the customers they actually want to consume, which is not advertising. Or it's like this typical content marketing approach. You deliver value to the customer. Is different media. You can use podcast. You can use video, text, whatever you want, which is the right approach for your target audience. And think about which of these gratifications I named in the beginning we can tackle and use for our content strategy and create value for the customers on our website. Do we want them to come to our website to socialize? Do we want them to come to our website to actually forget about the real world? Do we want to come on our website to actually find informational content? Or do we want them to entertain them? Do we want to inspire them? This is using the gratifications why people are actually using media. If we use one of those, the content strategy can be that they come to our website to actually because they want to consume the content. I will also show you an example later. Then the other thing is gamification. You can engage the customers. It is fun. It is rewarding, and you can also use this really well to increase the sign-up rate, for instance. Yeah, by creating status, bonus points, etc., and have them basically level up, which is really helpful for the customers to extra motivation to sign up for a loyalty program. Yeah, so you can look into gamification. Gamification is also a big topic. Also, websites contests can be quite interesting and a big topic. I just want to touch this here on the surface a little bit because this is one way to do it. The other one is also like, for instance, live shopping events. I have seen cases where the conversion rate doing these shopping events actually double from 2 to 4%, for instance, but it's only for a short time when you have a good program. So it does make sense for certain brands, for certain products to actually have a good live shopping experience, have good live events. In this case, there's like several channels already, and they have several times during the day. And you want to create, like, I would say, a prime time something, because we don't have this prime time events anymore. And doing these events this is living from consistency, that you do this on a regular basis, that you have several shows, several live shopping events on your website to actually get the customers so they know, let's say, for instance, every Thursday 8 o'clock, it's channel A, for instance, yeah. And then you always still have the recordings, and they can always look into that. And this is like carrying on, and this is super engaging for the customers. The whole brand becomes an experience, and yeah, you can use different content, different programs, etc., different shows here in this case, um, to actually increase the conversion rates. Also engaging users. Yeah, to engage with the customer is always interesting and always a good approach. For instance, if you have a promotional drop someday, you can ask the customers in the beginning, before the drop is coming, to tease the drop, that you're actually going to talk to the customers and ask them, hey, why, what would you like to see, what is the next product you want to hear about, and all these kind of questions. Engaging with the customer gets them already into the next step, yeah, because they have been involved, yeah, and this involving is more than just telling someone a message. Yeah, and this is the nice thing about digital communication in the end of the day, that we can actually engage with the customers on several levels. Here in this case, they just ask me for my name. This is engaging, right? And then the next thing is they're using my name and using the information I gave them to adjust the communication and make it more humanized. And this is a nice customer experience. This is close to talking to a human, actually. But engagement is also, yeah, to pre-engage customers into certain marketing activities can be one strategy as well. But when we're talking about user experience, when we're talking about the website itself, it's interesting to talk about or to look into the certain fields of user experience. And we do have the field of look. It's like how our visuals, etc., our content, etc. And then we have the look and feel. Like, do customers actually enjoy using our website? How is the reaction of our customers and to the reaction of the website to their engagement? Yeah. So everything we do, we're expecting feedback, or we're expecting something to come back. Otherwise, it's not worth doing it. So this is something we can look into. Yeah, we want to look at the design, the content, etc., that we make this unique, that we make this trustworthy, that we make this according to our brand. On the other hand side, we also want to have design element, that we actually make the design fun to use for the customers and get a reaction from them. So, and the usability, the functionality, this is what I said in the beginning as well. But the predictability is super important, because when it comes to brand experience, we want to do something with the customer. So the reaction, the joy of use, and the predictability. The functionality has to be given. As I said in the beginning, we want to make sure that customers actually can use the website as it's supposed to be used. But the predictability and the reaction, the joy of use, they are quite close together. And I want to go into that into a little bit more detail, because what we want to do, we want the predictability is basically what the customer's looking for on the website, what they expect from the website. And the reaction is what the customer is getting back from the website. And this is the part where we start, we want to do it surprising, and we want to do it in a way which is according to our brand. So let's talk about the surprise. How does surprise actually happens? In the end of the day, we have basic factors on our website. There's a standard for every website. They should be there. Yeah. Customers don't even notice them anymore. In user research, they would only notice them if they're not there, and they really need them because they use them everywhere. Yeah. So this does take some research to understand how does my target audience actually use the website, and what is for them a standard and what is not a standard for them. Where is the standard user experience for our target group? So the next step is the performance factors. That means it's already the first step into the direction where the customer can say, hey, this and this feature, those are important to satisfy me on a website. Yeah, for instance, shop the look. When Zalando, I think Zalando was the one who came up with that. When they implemented that was like for the customers. Wow! Nowadays it's like shop the look is everywhere. Everyone just adopted that, and I'm not sure if it was Zalando, but I think it was Zalando. But now every company, even furniture companies, have shop the look, and this feature is now satisfying the customers. Back then, and now it's becoming more and more into a standard feature of e-commerce. Yeah, so this was a performance feature or even a feature of excitement factors where you actually tackle the user experience in a way that you add something to the experience which they don't expect or which they can even value or which they can even name themselves yet. Yeah, this is like the unknown for the customer. They don't know that this could be nice for them, and this is hard to get because most of the companies I know are already performing here, right? Get the basic factors, get the standards implemented, get the next level implemented. But the brand experience actually starts where you implement features that excite the customers. Yeah. So, an example can be, for instance, the site search. Long time before, years ago, this was not implemented. Over the time, it became standard, and now we are still working or companies still working on the site searches to improve the site search, give recommendations, etc. There was one client of mine, he found out that most of the customers, they cannot search on his website for a certain product because the product names are so weird and confusing or not even there because they have a weird naming strategy. So no customer was able to actually look up for a certain product. And the problem was, on what they also found out in the user research, that most of the customers have pictures of the products they like or of outfits they like, and then they try to rebuild these outfits because they have seen them somewhere. So what they did, they implemented a picture search, yeah, which is we all know from Google, and through that now you can actually upload the picture here on the left side. You can upload the picture, and then it gives you either if the product is available, yeah, it gives you a mark on the picture and tells you, hey, we have these kind of products, this kind of products, this kind of products. Here in this case, we have the hat, the shoes, and the dress. And then the customer can start putting together the outfit basically. Yeah, can still adjust it a little bit. In this case, here the hat is given. So this is a feature which is quite heavy to develop, but was quite judged positive the by the target audience, and no one has ever seen this before, and no one ever has used this. But it came from the customers, and they said, "Hey, we're using pictures to actually navigate on your website, and we have to put this together all by ourselves." So they over delivered basically what the users were expecting. The users were expecting a site search where they can type in hat in red, hat in white, and then they would get a hat in white. But do this all manually was quite a workload for the customers. So by doing this, implementing this search, they were able to actually shorten the customer journey and deliver something for the customer, which makes it super easy for them to find the outfit they were looking for. Yeah? Excitement factor. Now we're talking about Apple. Surprise. The question is, when I opened Apple, I was like, what would I expect, right? I was like, when I analyze website, I basically listen to myself. What I feel, how do I feel, and what do I think, right? So I came on the website. I have read the theory before about the expectations, and it was like, what are my expectations for the website? I wrote them down. It was like my expectations was a good UI. My expectations for this website is that they communicate in a certain way, that they're super minimalistic. Yeah, super minimalistic. That was actually my experience and my expectation. So now I wanted to find out what is actually the user experience all about. So I recorded my behavior on the website, and this is me scrolling down the website. Yeah, and what happens is it starts moving. I did not expect that. Yeah, this over delivers my expectations. That the scrolling behavior actually interacting with the website content interacting with my scrolling behavior, and it surprises me all the time. Yeah, I go back, I go forward, and even the visuals, inside the visuals, they have movement going on, which was surprising for me. So they give me little surprises all the time. Yeah, even the features they're trying to communicate, they're animated by my scrolling behavior. So here, big battery, 5G, super big. This is me scrolling and understanding, okay, me interacting with the website influences how the website communicates with me, right? This is really playful in the end of the day. I have also no idea if this is really good performance, but this was the point here. I understood, okay, this is waterproof, yeah. And now the funny thing I actually said, I mean, I clicked there because the website told me to click there, and yeah. But the point is that here they over delivered on the scrolling behavior. Now, in the next step later on, I will also talk a little bit more about why is this so important that they over deliver, and also what else they did. But yeah, this is also something you can easily do on the product overview page. Some product overview pages look like this. They simply show the product, and we expect the customer to pick a product and pick the product as fast as possible and buy it and check it out, right? You can also design the product overview page like this, where you have models, you have different environments to make it more interesting for the customers. And here in this case, for the people who don't know, Lea Meyer-Landrut, she's a model, she's actually a singer here in Germany. And it is actually surprising. All of a sudden, you have someone famous in there. No? And this is a surprise effect. You did not expect that someone famous out of the sudden is standing there. No? And I have to say, all these things, they have some extra work, and it takes some extra effort to actually get to this level. This one is probably quite easy. You shoot the pictures in some studio, but here this does take more effort. And for instance, what Nike is doing, they reference to different categories to be a little bit more surprising. And yeah, but it's all about what do customers expect and what can we do to do something on top of that and over deliver basically and surprise them in a positive way, right? There's actually one more thing which is interesting. It's a gap theory. That means curiosity is triggered as soon we feel a sense of knowledge gap. Pinterest is doing that, Apple is doing it, and other brands are doing it. What is happening here? What they do is they cut off some pictures. Yeah, Apple and also Adding and Pinterest, they cut off the pictures. And by the arrangement of the pictures, yeah, this arrangement and this arrangement, what happens is that you always see parts of the pictures are always missing. And since parts of the pictures are always missing, we are missing, or we get the feeling that we have information missing. And this is exactly what makes social media, the scrolling behavior on social media, so addictive, because we scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's always a picture cut off on the end of the screen, which causes that we get the feeling of missing out information, this fear of missing out, which will drive more curiosity, which will drive us more into the brand. Yeah. And this is also something Apple actually did here in the beginning, that they cut off the picture, and this caused that you start interacting. And then the first interaction is actually surprising, that your interaction with the website is moving the picture, which you did not expect, right? So you were curious, and then you get surprised, right? You were curious, you get surprised. You were curious, you get surprised. And this is something that happens over and over on the Apple, on Apple's product page for the iPhone, for instance. It happens something, or you get curious, you get surprised, you get curious, you get surprised, and they communicate the features by doing that. So this causes that you start interacting and start wanting to use this website more and more. Other example for the gap theory is the gap theory says basically you trigger or you point out to the customers that you miss some information. Yeah, And by doing this, you get them into the page. And curiosity is a really strong motivator when it comes to motivation, because we don't like the feeling of missing something. Yeah, we don't like the feeling of missing some information. Here in this case, how is this smoothie company doing it? They have this button here, don't click. I mean, who wouldn't click, right? You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen with this click? I mean, I can show you in a minute, but here are also other factors how they're doing it. They have, like, for instance, here, what makes this glass so special. Some of you might know that the Coca-Cola bottle, for instance, is part of their brand. Yeah, they communicate the brand as the Coca-Cola bottle is part of the brand. It's almost like a logo. The form is part of the brand. So here similar, right? The smoothie bottles are part of the brand, and the visuals are part of the brand. Same as Coca-Cola. And yeah, here what makes glass so special, and here also we have here for the newsletter sign up, they show the some bottles, but they don't show the real bottles, so it looks less blurry, and through this blurry effect, it causes that we want to actually see what's behind it. Yeah, by clicking on it, we get the information. And this tells the customer, hey, here's something, but you're missing something. You don't have what's behind this page. You don't have what's behind this click. You can also do this by having questions on the website. Yeah? Ask when the customer enters the website, ask them a question, and he can find that question out later on the website after he clicked to a certain product. Yeah? That can help to increase the engagement on the website, and also the conversions in the end of the day, because the customers can better recognize or remember the product and the brand. So now I will click here, so we know what's behind the click. It's actually the ingredients of the product, and the customer understands. Okay, this has banana, this has apple, this has carrots, mango, and dragon fruit in there. So this is again communicating the ingredients and the benefits of the product. So thank God we clicked, so we understand now by a surprising element what's inside the bottle. Yeah. So in summary, we're almost done. We want to create curiosity on the website. We want the customers to come on our website, and we want them to be curious. Curiosity is always a gap of information, and we want to point out to the customers that information is missing. Now, the next step is we want to resolve this with a surprise. We want to give them something. This curiosity is this gap of information. We solve this gap, or we fill in this gap with something which surprises them in an engaging way, and we like the way we are going to fill in the gap is actually the surprise. Yeah. And then, what then? That's not all. Like, this is kind of a formula to get there, yeah. But we still have to work on a little bit more and make it a little bit more sticky to the customers. So the next step is actually to make it stick. This is a nice book. I can only recommend this to you. This is about these two authors. They were looking into different advertising campaigns, and they were thinking about how did these advertising campaigns, how were they so successful? Yeah, and they found out different factors for this successful campaigns. And I think this is actually a good book you can also use for conversion rate optimization, to especially when you're dealing with certain brands, that you can actually think about how can we communicate on the website to make it stick. Because in this book they explain what needs to be done to make it stick. I will give you a short summary during the presentation here. For instance, I think the obvious that customers, when they buy something, this is a real screenshot from one of my previous clients. They don't buy a product. They buy they buy a better me, right? They buy a future me, and they buy a better outcome, the result of the features, for instance. Yeah. So we want to communicate on the website what is actually the benefit, the emotional benefit, of buying this product, and the emotional benefit is the better me. And then we try to open up the associations for the better me. Me standing in front of a big building, celebrating my success because I bought this product. This is kind of how far we could go, but we want to attach or address the self-interest of the individual and make it bigger, and we want them to buy, let's say in this case, a dress to impress someone, right? This is like from the category on the website to buy a dress for a date. Yeah, so the whole category is actually recommendations and content for a date, how to be successful in a date, what to do in a date, what not to do in a date, where to go, what is a good idea, what to wear, and then you go into this is the perfect dress for this kind of date when you want to impress someone on the date, right? So you selling a future situation to the customer and not just a dress. Storytelling along the customer journey. Where do you want to tell the story and how to tell the story when we have different touch points? This is the website of Mercedes, and here you can click on model, buy online, you get consultancy if you want to buy a Mercedes. You get service, and you can read about the technology. And of course, the newest product is in the main view, as in the sliders. They have the newest products, maybe also some campaign, or the newest campaigns are in the sliders. And then you can click on configure now. You go into the website, you start configuring your 200,000 euro Mercedes, and you can check out the 200 euro Mercedes to the nearest Mercedes dealer nearby, right? That is, of course, this is something you would typically conversion optimize in a conversion from a conversion point of view, try to make the customers buy the 200,000 euros Mercedes, the new one, which you just configured online, and you need to communicate and do the right things to make them convert. But then you also, this is also driven by brand traffic, right? Customers come on the website to actually, they want to see or they want to do certain things on the website. The buying behavior of cars is actually a little bit different. You can check it out online. Yes, Tesla does that as well, and I think this is also the newest way of doing it. Let's say, for instance, a startup here from Berlin, Auto1, is also doing it, that you can just check it out online, buy a car online, then deliver it to your home, and you can return it into 21 days. So basically a shopping experience just like a typical normal online shopping experience. Yeah. But how do customers actually, like, there are certain ways you can go this way, the online approach, and buy your car online, or you can buy the car the normal way. And a normal way for buying a car means going to a store, you talk to someone, you get the information, maybe online, offline, mixed, do a test drive, these kind of things, all that. But this is a different customer journey then. So this is something BMW does actually. They want to do a brand online. Yeah? BMW gives you the magazine, the podcast, the events, the esports hub, and the Hypnopolis. Hypnopolis is also a podcast, but it's more like fictional and it's like a science fiction a little bit into that direction. But it still talks about values, or it has always, the content could always relate to BMW brand. And then it goes with the model. So the priority of content versus shop is totally different. Yeah, I know I think a year ago, this shop looked different because I'm regularly on different brand shops, and this kind of shop or this kind of experience is totally different than what Mercedes is doing. Mercedes has a shop to buy cars. BMW has a content hub basically where they deliver user experience, content, stories, etc. To actually combine the product and certain settings together. Here in this case, they have Côte d'Azur and BMW, and they tell a story behind it. They say something and they combine the settings and the car. And the car is 50-50, is basically setting versus, or stories versus car. Yeah. and that gives more image value to the car because they're living from the stories basically. So this bundle of information which is transferred by the story enriches the communication for the car, right? Also here, like the M series and on the bottom here, right? You have the M series history, the milestones for this, all these kind of things, all this information increase the value for the brand. Yeah, and it gives you also the podcast is a good reason to come back on the website to actually think about and this podcast is really inspiring to think about how can the future be, and but by doing this the BMW brand actually will become more sticky to your to our neural system, I would say, because we need more information to actually fit how we pick up information is actually we pick it up connected with other informations, right? So if we learn something new, it will connect to other informations we already have. And this is done by BMW in a way with storytelling. Storytelling connects the story of the car and the product and the environment with the stories or with the information we already know from certain other things. And you want to think about which shopping behavior in this case is actually the behavior which I want to target. Do I want people to buy my car online? You can do that. There you have a high barrier of the price, and this high price, for instance, the 200,000 euro Mercedes, is probably easier to, I would assume, I don't know the performance of these two pages, but I would assume the 200,000 euros are easier to sell if they actually have the driving experience, they hear the sound of the motor, they hear the luxury, they see the luxury, they can touch, the look and feel. The multisensory approach in the shop would probably make the car more emotional, and therefore the price is easier to transfer to the customer, can easier be taken by the customer than just seeing a picture and some 360 degrees and some videos online. Yeah. Friction. We always want to avoid friction on the homepage. I had a case where they actually had friction, which was a loading time, which was not to avoid on the website due to technical reasons. But what we did is we picked up on the brand story and we said, hey, let's use your brand story. And this car manufacturer, they actually started selling back then they had the beginning of the factory was they were selling airplane engines. Yeah. So the idea was we used this loading time to actually communicate the story of the brand. So what we did not let the normal loading wheel spin, we let the airplane engine spin like this. And it spins and spins, and then it turns actually into the brand logo. So the people or the customers actually would understand the brand logo, the logo of the brand, is actually the airplane engine from front. Yeah? This is something some people know, some people don't know, but by having the airplane spinning into the logo, and then after that, while it's loading, still the logo was standing there. The customer, the waiting time was informational. The waiting time was also shorter because we like it. We don't like waiting time where we don't know when it's ending, and when we basically we wait and we don't do nothing, that causes that we start using our mobile phone, etc. So by doing this, we cut the waiting time short. This cannot be measured at this time by how many customers we did not lose, but for the brand experience, it's not on the website anymore, so don't need to look for that. But the loading time was here a big issue, and we tried to make the best out of it, and we actually tried to tell the story by doing this. Yeah? Keep it simple. I think this is also something maybe doesn't need to be explained anymore, that we keep it simple on the website, as simple as possible, and we want to communicate the emotional value instead pure features. We don't want to mention pure features. We want to say, hey, what I said before, we want to communicate the emotional value and also use visuals instead of words. We want to be surprising, all these kind of things, right? We want to solve the surprise, the curiosity, the gap of information in a surprising way. So we had this one case. It was a workwear factory or company, and what we did the browser cursor that became a glove on the website. So when the customer would enter the website, they actually had a glove instead of a browser, of the cursor. And then they had a button where they can actually find out in the top header navigation about the glove, and then where here we would tell the story about the brand and how it all started with one pair of glove to this big company now with this super innovative. To be honest, this did not have any impact on the short-term revenue. And the customer said, or the client said, hey, why does this not have any short-term value, right? This is a good idea. The customer has a good experience. They should have any experience, any short-term uplift on the conversion rate. And I said, what we see is customers are returning more often. What we see is we have a higher engagement rate. And also what I experience is that people in the company, in the agency, and also for the client talked about it. They said, hey, we did not know this is actually possible. Yeah? We did not know we can do this. And then this kind of hype will probably transport the brand and the experience of the brand and make them buy later on. So during 2 weeks of test period, we could not prove any uplift on the conversion rate, which is okay if it's even good not to see any impact on the short-term conversion rate. But maybe later on, if we have more returning customers, if we have higher engagement, this can be good for Google. This can be good also for the brand, and they might buy later on outside this 2 weeks of testing period. Yeah. So yeah, to develop a unique brand experience, I think main factors are we want to think about what is the key takeaway from our brand. What do we want to transfer from, or what do we want the customers to take away from our brand? Then we want to create curiosity about it as an opener. Then we want to create a surprise about it. And then we can also use different psychological heuristics to actually make it stick better. We can use storytelling, we can make it emotional, we can communicate in certain ways so customers will actually understand what is the benefit of the product, so that they won't not forget. Yeah. The other strategy is also to use these gratifications, why customers are actually online, and create the right content for these gratifications and give them really beneficial content, so they come back to your website and engage regularly with your website till they're actually buying. So thank you so much. The next webinar I will be having with Makaira. This is a headless e-commerce system, and we are joining hands basically, and would like to let you guys know about headless e-commerce and conversion rate optimization, and we will be hosting this on the 20th of next month. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there.